Difficult Students and How to Help Them. Compiled, written, and narrated by Haley Franz. I think some online courses, or educators, overlook students who are non-participatory, poorly involved, interruptive, or unhelpful in discussions. I want to explore what can make a good student lose focus and how an educator can pull that student back in. The first thing I want to talk about is who is the difficult student? The difficult student does not participate willingly or well. The difficult student throws the course off track. They don't respond to you or others. They don't show up to class. And often they fail no matter what interventions you try. Students that challenge the educator exist in every level of education, from early childhood to higher education, and everywhere in between. We as educators and as administrators need the best tools we can get to help these students. The first tool that I want to discuss is influencing participation. Student participation has been found to have a correlation with student grades and achievement. Influence participation to keep your student in tune with the course. These are your quiet students, your noisy students, and your disruptive students. They will benefit from Socratic questioning, personalization, and feedback. Socratic questioning will allow you to give attention to the noisiest students while drawing out the quiet with appropriate statements and questions that make them more active, independent learners. Making things personal will bring students into the subject matter with their own interests. Reaching out to the struggling, disruptive, quiet, or noisy will give private, personal, and clear feedback, which always helps. The next pupil I want to talk about is the distracted one. Students that throw class off track may not know they're doing it or that they shouldn't be doing it. These are the distracting students. Distracting students will respond to a question like, "What are your views on urban sprawl?" with, "I don't like urban sprawl because it keeps me from riding my horse on what used to be country roads. But did you know that dog food is made out of horses?" Students will exclaim, "Oh, gross!" or "I like dogs more than horses." Now your entire class is moving away from the focus of your information. To put your students back on track, try encouraging peer facilitation, reaching out to the student who causes the distraction, and setting limits. Encouraging peer facilitation encourages independent students helping the course along. You can ask your students to ask questions of each other and keep each other on task from the beginning of your course. Make sure you ask them to ask questions that are based on the subject matter. Reaching out to the student is a very important tool. Communicate your expectations from the beginning, clearly and often. It's often forgotten that things can be forgotten. Setting limits are also often forgotten. You may have discussion posts minimums, but with noisy or disruptive students, maximums can be put in place to guide the class. The next tool I want to talk about is reaching an unresponsive student. An unresponsive student hasn't been doing the work that's in front of them. The first step of my 4-step tool is to send a blanket email to all of your students in that course, reminding them about the responses you are looking for. The second step is to send a direct email to the student that is missing. The third step is to find a different contact format. If your student does not respond to the first or second step, try contacting them via telephone or any other form that you're allowed to use that they have given you. If you cannot reach them in the first 3 steps, include their advisor. Communicate with those that have been trying to communicate with this student and work together to find out what's going on. It may surprise you. This student could be one who drops out. Those are students that tend to decide they either made the wrong decision in which degree to follow, that they had something personal come up, or just couldn't handle the course or program financially or mentally. It's okay. This happens, and it's not your fault. The same thing goes for students who fail no matter your interventions. Some students just aren't motivated. Some students just can't understand what's going on. This happens. It is not your fault. Ask for feedback. Be prepared for criticism in that feedback, and be willing to change your prerequisites. The class could have been too hard. Our goal, however, is truly the positives of reaching out to your difficult students. You want them to succeed after your interventions, and when they do, take note of the situation that happened that you needed to use your interventions for in order to be prepared for future experiences. Congratulate your student for a job well done. They figured things out with your help. Congratulate yourself for a job well done. You were able to guide this student to the next step. And be prepared to make changes if needed. In the future, you could avoid this situation by having something in place that you didn't have before. This presentation was created for Professor Mary Wiseman's Masters of Higher Education Building Online Communities course at Bay Path University for the spring 2019 semester. The purpose of this presentation was to offer examples of difficult students in the online education world and how to address their issues and assist them. An audio-free recording of this presentation is available on Prezi.com. The outline for this presentation is available by request. Thank you.